Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at Salesforce AI and data architecture. And to help us navigate this complex world, we have a fantastic resource to guide us, a blog post by Raksha Sanganee.
Oh, yeah, I've seen this one.
Have you?
Yeah,
Really insightful stuff.
she's incredible. So, she holds 14 Salesforce certifications, including the Application Architect and CPQ Specialist certs.
Wow, 14. That's impressive.
Right.
Yeah, and looking at her Trailblazer and LinkedIn profiles, you can see she's got a ton of hands-on experience actually implementing these solutions.
Absolutely. And that really comes through in her writing. She kicks off her blog post with a really bold statement saying that Salesforce AI and specifically Einstein AI can be a total game changer for businesses. And she's not talking about some, far off future fantasy. She's talking about using AI right now to make smarter decisions across the board. I think that's what's so compelling about her work. She really emphasizes turning that raw data into actionable insights. And think about it. Most companies are swimming in data these days, but they're not necessarily using it to its full potential. That's where Einstein AI can really step in, helping you to analyze all that data and extract those meaningful patterns that can inform everything, from your sales forecasting to customer engagement strategies.
Yeah, I mean, it's like having this secret weapon.
Yeah.
Suddenly you can see things that were hidden before,
Right.
and you can make decisions based on data,
Hmm.
not just gut feeling.
Absolutely.
She gives a great example of how AI can be used to personalize customer interactions. So instead of that generic, one-size-fits-all approach,
Yeah.
AI can help you tailor your messaging and offerings to each individual customer.
It's like having a personal shopper for every single person who interacts with your business.
Exactly.
And, in today's world, customers really expect that level of personalization.
They do.
It makes a huge difference in their satisfaction and their loyalty.
It's that feeling of being seen and understood.
Yeah.
Like the company actually gets me.
Exactly.
But Raksha makes a really important point here. AI is only as good as the data it's fed.
Right, garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly. She compares it to baking a cake. If you use bad ingredients, you're going to end up with a bad cake.
I like that analogy.
So data quality is absolutely essential for successful AI implementation.
Couldn't agree more. And that's where things can get a bit tricky, because a lot of companies struggle with data silos.
Data silos, those dreaded pockets of information trapped in different departments or systems.
Exactly.
It's like trying to piece together a puzzle when half the pieces are missing.
That's a great way to put it. And Raksha's actually been there. She's experienced these challenges firsthand. She talks about how she's used Salesforce Data Cloud and middleware solutions to break down those silos and create a unified view of her data.
And that's so crucial, because without that integration, you're limiting the effectiveness of your AI. You're essentially feeding it incomplete information, which can lead to inaccurate predictions and unreliable insights.
Right. It's like trying to navigate a city with a map that's missing entire neighborhoods. You might eventually reach your destination,
Yeah.
but it's going to be a lot more difficult and time-consuming.
So seamless integration is definitely one of her key best practices. She believes that Salesforce needs to work in harmony with other platforms, whether it's your ERP system marketing tools or even those random third-party apps you rely on.
It's all about connecting the dots, making sure the data can flow freely between different systems.
Absolutely.
And it's not just about integrating existing systems, it's also about designing a data architecture that can scale and adapt as AI evolves.
Because the world of technology is constantly changing, and your data architecture needs to be flexible enough to keep up with those changes.
It's like building a house with room to grow. You don't want to have to start from scratch every time your family expands or your needs change.
All right, let's pause here for a moment. I want to touch on something else that Raksha emphasizes in her blog post, the human side of the equation.
Oh, absolutely. She makes it clear that implementing Salesforce AI and data architecture isn't just about technology, it's about people, too.
It's about fostering that cross-team collaboration, getting everyone on board with this AI-powered future.
Breaking down those silos, not just in terms of data, but also in terms of communication and collaboration.
Exactly. And she's a big believer in empowering people to embrace those AI-driven insights and use them to make better decisions. She even founded a WhatsApp group called Salesforce WAP, which stands for Woman Power and Work Power, to connect and support other Salesforce professionals.
That's fantastic. It's clear that she's passionate about helping others succeed in this field, and she recognizes that technology is only as good as the people who are using it.
All right, so let's dive into the top tips for successfully implementing Salesforce AI and data architecture.
Sounds good. This is where the rubber meets the road.
So her first tip is to define a clear, Data strategy. And this means establishing your goals, identifying your data sources,
Yeah.
and setting up those all-important governance frameworks right from the start.
It's about laying the groundwork, creating that strong and stable foundation. You need a solid plan in place to guide your efforts and ensure that everyone's on the same page.
Absolutely. It's like building a house.
Yeah,
You wouldn't just start throwing bricks around without a blueprint, would you?
definitely not.
You need that solid plan to make sure everything comes together properly.
Right. And that data strategy is your blueprint for success in the world of AI and data architecture.
Exactly.
And speaking of a solid foundation, Raksha's second tip focuses on utilizing Salesforce Data Cloud. She's a huge advocate for harnessing its power to unify and harmonize data from all those different corners of your business.
It's like creating that central hub where all your data can come together and play nicely. So instead of having those fragmented pieces scattered everywhere, you have a single source of truth that everyone can access and trust.
And that single source of truth is essential for feeding your AI systems with accurate and reliable information. Think of it this way. If you're training a chef, you wouldn't give them spoiled ingredients, would you?
No.
You want to give them the freshest, highest quality ingredients possible so they can create those culinary masterpieces.
Okay, that's a pretty delicious analogy. And it highlights why Raksha's third tip is so important. Prioritize security and compliance. You've got to protect that valuable data and make sure you're meeting all the necessary regulations.
Absolutely, especially in today's world where data privacy is paramount. It's not something you can afford to overlook. She emphasizes things like encryption access controls and regular audits to safeguard that sensitive information.
It's like having a top-notch security system for your data fortress. Want to make sure that only authorized personnel can access it,
Yeah.
and that it's protected from any potential threats.
Exactly. And her fourth tip is particularly relevant in today's AI landscape. Ensure ethical AI usage. This means being mindful of potential biases in your algorithms and taking steps to mitigate them.
It's about making sure your AI is fair and impartial, so it doesn't perpetuate existing inequalities or create new ones. She stresses the importance of transparency and accountability in AI development and deployment.
Absolutely. And her final tip brings us back to the importance of people. Foster cross-team collaboration. She argues that successfully implementing Salesforce AI and data architecture requires a team effort.
It's about getting everyone on board. From data scientists and developers to business analysts and end users, she suggests things like regular communication, joint workshops, and celebrating successes together to create that shared sense of ownership.
One thing that really stands out about Raksha's approach is her emphasis on continuous learning and improvement.
Right. She doesn't present these tips as a one-and-done solution. She encourages businesses to constantly evaluate their data architecture and AI implementations, looking for ways to refine and optimize them.
It's a journey, not a destination. And Raksha's clearly committed to helping businesses navigate that journey successfully.
All right, so we've covered Raksha's 5 key tips. But I think it's important to acknowledge that implementing Salesforce AI and data architecture isn't always a walk in the park.
Oh, absolutely. There will be challenges along the way. But that's where Raksha's real-world experience really shines through.
She doesn't sugarcoat things. She openly talks about the hurdles she's faced and the lessons she's learned. And I think that's incredibly valuable for anyone embarking on this journey.
For example, she talks about the difficulties of navigating data governance and security, especially with all the regulations like GDPR and CCPA. It's not enough to just have the technology in place. You need robust policies and procedures to ensure you're using data responsibly and ethically.
And she also acknowledges the persistent challenge of breaking down those data silos. It's one thing to talk about integration in theory, but it can be quite another to actually make it happen in practice.
Right. It often requires a combination of technical solutions like Salesforce, Data Cloud, and middleware, along with a shift in organizational culture and mindset.
And let's not forget about the financial aspect. Implementing AI and data architecture can require significant investment.
She's realistic about that. But she also points out that a phased implementation combined with a careful ROI analysis can help manage costs and ensure you're getting the most bang for your buck.
And she suggests leveraging out-of-the-box Salesforce features whenever possible to minimize customization and keep things streamlined.
So it's about being strategic and thoughtful in your approach, finding that balance between maximizing your investment and achieving your long-term goals.
Now, even with the best planning and execution, there's always the challenge of driving adoption across teams. You can have the most amazing AI-powered solutions, but they're not going to do much good if people aren't actually using them.
Exactly. Raksha highlights the importance of training communication and change management. It's about bringing people along on the journey, addressing their concerns, and showcasing the benefits of AI-driven insights.
She talks about the need to build trust and transparency, showing people that AI is a tool that can empower them to do their jobs better, not something that's going to replace them.
It's about creating a culture where people are excited about the possibilities of AI and eager to embrace its potential.
I think one of the key takeaways from Raksha's blog post is that implementing Salesforce AI and data architecture is as much about people as it is about technology. You need to have the right tools and systems in place, but you also need to have the right people, processes, and culture to make it all work.
It's that human element that ultimately determines the success or failure of any AI initiative.
So as we wrap up part one in this deep dive, I want to leave you with a question to ponder. What steps can you take in your organization to foster a culture of collaboration, innovation, and data-driven decision-making?
It's a question worth reflecting on, because as Raksha's insights demonstrate, the true power of AI lies in its ability to amplify human intelligence and ingenuity.
Absolutely. And we'll be back next time to explore more of Raksha's insights and dig deeper into her background and expertise. Until then, keep diving deep.
It's really about, laying the groundwork for a strong data foundation.
Yeah, like building a house. You wouldn't
Mhm.
start throwing bricks around without a blueprint, would you?
Definitely not. You need that solid plan to make sure everything comes together properly.
So that data strategy, that's our blueprint for success when it comes to AI and data architecture.
Exactly. And speaking of a solid foundation, Raksha's second tip is all about utilizing Salesforce Data Cloud.
Okay.
She's a huge advocate for really harnessing its power to unify and harmonize data from all those different corners of your business.
So it's like creating this central hub where all your data can come together. And instead of having those fragmented pieces scattered everywhere,
Right.
you have that single source of truth that everyone can access.
Exactly. And that single source of truth, that's what you need to feed those AI systems with accurate information. Think about it. Like if you're training a chef, you wouldn't give them spoiled ingredients, would you?
No way.
You want to give them the freshest, highest quality ingredients so they can create those culinary masterpieces.
Okay, I love that analogy. So
Yeah.
fresh ingredients for our AI.
Exactly. And that brings us to her third tip, which is all about prioritizing security and compliance.
Okay.
We've got to protect that valuable data and make sure we're meeting all the necessary regulations.
Especially these days with data privacy being so important.
Absolutely. You can't afford to overlook it. She really emphasizes things like encryption access controls and regular audits, all to safeguard that sensitive information.
It's like having that, top-notch security system for our data fortress.
Exactly. You want to make sure that only authorized personnel can get in and that it's protected from any potential threats.
Makes sense. And her fourth tip.
This one's particularly relevant in today's AI landscape. Ensure ethical AI usage. So that means being mindful of any potential biases that might creep into those algorithms and taking steps to mitigate them.
So we're making sure that our AI is fair and impartial, not perpetuating any existing inequalities or creating new ones.
Exactly. And she also stresses the importance of transparency and accountability throughout the whole AI development and deployment process.
Transparency and accountability, those are key.
Absolutely. And her final tip brings us back to the importance of people. It's all about fostering cross-team collaboration.
Okay.
She argues that successfully implementing this stuff requires a true team effort.
Makes sense. So we need to get everyone on board from the data scientists and developers
Mm.
to those business analysts and end users.
Right. And she suggests things like, regular communication joint workshops and celebrating those successes together, to really create that sense of shared ownership.
I love that. And one thing that really stands out to me about Raksha's approach is her emphasis on that continuous learning and improvement.
Oh, absolutely. She's not presenting these tips as like a one and done solution. She's encouraging businesses to constantly evaluate their data architecture and AI implementations. Always looking for ways to refine and optimize them.
So it's a journey, not a destination.
Exactly. And she's clearly committed to helping businesses navigate that journey successfully.
All right, so we've covered Raksha's 5 key tips. But, I think it's important to acknowledge that implementing this stuff isn't always easy.
Oh, absolutely. There will be challenges along the way.
But I think that's where Raksha's real-world experience really shines through.
She doesn't sugarcoat things.
She openly talks about the hurdles she's faced and the lessons she's learned.
Right. And that's incredibly valuable for anyone embarking on this journey.
For example, she talks about the difficulties of navigating data governance and security, especially with all those regulations like GDPR and CCPA.
It's not enough to just have the technology in place. You need those robust policies and procedures to make sure you're using that data responsibly and ethically.
And she also acknowledges those persistent challenges of breaking down data silos. It's one thing to talk about integration in theory, but it can be quite another to actually make it happen in practice.
Right. It often requires a combination of technical solutions like Salesforce Data Cloud and middleware, along with a shift in that organizational culture and mindset.
And we can't forget about the financial aspect either. Implementing AI and data architecture can require pretty significant investment.
She's realistic about that, but she also points out that a phased implementation combined with a careful ROI analysis can really help manage those costs and ensure you're getting the most value.
And she suggests leveraging out-of-the-box Salesforce features whenever possible to minimize that customization and keep things streamlined.
So it's all about being strategic and thoughtful in your approach. Finding that balance between maximizing your investment and achieving those long-term goals.
Now, even with the best planning and execution, there's always that challenge of driving adoption across teams. You can have the most amazing AI-powered solutions, but they're not going to do much good if people aren't actually using them.
Exactly. She highlights the importance of training communication and change management.
Yeah.
It's about bringing people along on that journey, addressing their concerns and showcasing the benefits of AI-driven insights.
She talks about the need to build trust and transparency,
Right.
showing people that AI is a tool that can actually empower them to do their jobs better, not something that's going to come in and replace them.
It's about creating a culture where people are excited about the possibilities of AI and eager to embrace its potential.
I think one of the key takeaways from Raksha's blog post is that implementing Salesforce AI and data architecture is as much about people as it is about technology. You need the right tools and systems in place, but you also need the right people, processes, and culture to make it all work.
It's that human element that ultimately determines the success or failure of any AI initiative.
So as we wrap up part 2 of this deep dive, I want to leave you with a question to ponder. What steps can you take in your organization to foster a culture of collaboration, innovation, and data-driven decision-making?
It's a question worth reflecting on. Because as Raksha's insights demonstrate, the true power of AI lies in its ability to amplify human intelligence and ingenuity.
So we've been talking all about Raksha's insights and her tips, but let's take a moment to dig a little deeper into her background.
Okay.
What makes her such a credible voice in this field?
Well, her credentials definitely speak for themselves. Her Trailblazer and LinkedIn profiles really paint a picture of someone who's deeply immersed in the Salesforce world.
We mentioned before that she holds 14 Salesforce certifications, but that's really just the tip of the iceberg. She actually has over 50 certifications in total,
Wow.
covering everything from application architecture and CPQ to data management and integration.
She's clearly committed to staying at the forefront of her field. She's
Yeah.
not just relying on past experiences. She's constantly expanding her skill set and keeping up with all the latest advancements.
And it's not just about collecting certifications for her. She's actually applying that knowledge in real-world projects. Her LinkedIn profile highlights her extensive experience implementing Salesforce solutions for businesses of all sizes.
Exactly. She's not just an armchair expert.
Right.
She's out there solving complex problems and helping companies really leverage the power of Salesforce.
And her expertise extends beyond Salesforce itself.
Mm-hmm.
She's also proficient in a wide range of technologies, things like Apex, CSS, HTML, JavaScript, LWC, VS, GitHub, even Python.
It's that broad understanding of the technology landscape that allows her to see the bigger picture and design truly integrated solutions.
Yeah, it's like having a master chef who's not only skilled in French cuisine, but also has a deep understanding of Italian, Japanese, and Indian cooking. They can blend those different culinary traditions to create something truly unique and delicious.
I love that analogy. It highlights why Raksha's insights are so valuable.
She's not just stuck in one little silo.
Right, she brings a wealth of knowledge and experience to the table, and that allows her to really see those connections and possibilities that others might miss.
And she's passionate about sharing that knowledge and helping others succeed. We talked about her WhatsApp group, Salesforce WP, which is a testament to her commitment to supporting and empowering women in technology.
Absolutely. She's a true trailblazer, paving the way for others and demonstrating what's possible with hard work, dedication, and a willingness to embrace that lifelong learning.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Salesforce AI and data architecture, I think the key takeaway is this. It's a journey that requires careful planning, thoughtful execution, and a commitment to continuous learning and improvement.
And while the technology is powerful, it's the human element, the people, the processes, the culture that ultimately determines the success of any AI initiative.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So be sure to check out Raksha's blog post for more detailed information, and don't forget to explore those resources she recommends, like the Salesforce YouTube channel and the Salesforce AI and Data Cloud demos. Until next time, keep diving deep.